What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. How Live Nation is devouring the live music industry. WSJ, The Economics of, by the Wall Street Journal. So what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be reacting to how Live Nation is devouring the live music industry. WSJ, The Economics of, by the Wall Street Journal. If you haven't already, go to the Wall Street Journal and give them a sub. I've included the link for the original video in the description down below. Please go and click on the link for the original video and give it a like as well too. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me react to next, and let's get to it.
In the last 10 years. And yet, for some venues, live music has been a notoriously hard business to make money from.
The majority of people are not making anything else apart from a living, and it's just being squeezed.
But Live Nation seems to have it figured out. It made $23 billion in 2024, not just by owning Ticketmaster, but by having a hand in nearly every corner of the industry.
This is the machine behind live events.
Live Nation's so-called flywheel business model has fueled the company's rise by treating each of its businesses like a cog in the machine that helps propel the whole business forward. But some, including the US government, are questioning whether it's monopolizing the industry.
There is more competition in the industry today than there ever has been.
If you don't work with them, there is great fear that they will destroy you.
This is the economics of Live Nation.
It's a total monopoly, and it always has been. Unfortunately, I don't see it ever changing, but don't worry, they're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of it all. Kind of what they do.
It used to be that you would go on tour to promote album sales. That entirely flipped. Now you put out music so that you can go on tour and sell tickets and merchandise.
Behind the scenes of any tour are four main businesses: the artist, the promoter, the venue, and the ticketing platform. Back in 2010, Live Nation merged with Ticketmaster, creating Live Nation Entertainment.
There was immediate backlash. This was the world's largest concert promoter teaming up with the largest purveyor of tickets.
Over the last 15 years, Live Nation...
What could go wrong, right? What could possibly go wrong?
Nation has employed a flywheel business model to gain a stake in every major business in the live events industry.
The flywheel is something that executives at Live Nation have talked about publicly on investor calls for years. This has been something that investors have very much cheered on, and we've seen their stock go up and up over the years. But now it's something that the DOJ has identified specifically as problematic.
As part of its antitrust lawsuit, the U.S. Department of Justice included this graphic to illustrate how Live Nation can reinvest profits from its high-margin businesses into its lower-margin businesses.
They are vertically integrated, and that allows them to take losses on their promotions and their shows because they have ticketing revenue that comes in. They have advertising deals that not a single independent venue or festival could ever even come close to touching.
Live Nation can get a lot of...
That is true. They've got all the money, which gives them all the power. Yes, they can afford almost any promotional bill and just basically write it off because everything they're going to get back through the ticket sales. It really is one hand washing another. But just for really rich CEOs, you know that the artist is not making much of anything off of it compared to the CEOs. It's just a horrible, horrible system. It always has been. There's a lot of people thinking that when things went digital and in the modern age, it would become a lot better for the artist. Not really quite seeing. It's a lot easier for an artist to be independent, release their music out there and book their own tours and all that. Kind of, but not really when you have huge monsters like this. On a smaller independent level, yeah, but when these players get in there, or pardon me, there's really nothing you can do.
Bang for its buck on sponsorships and advertising, because it doesn't cost much to attach a brand's name to an event.
That could be something like, Verizon sets up special little mini stages around a festival, and anyone that has that Verizon ticker on their phone can pop up there and get an epic view for a few minutes.
Ticketmaster takes more resources to operate, but also has impressive margins. Putting on concerts is even more expensive, especially for independent venues like this one.
The margins are so small. We just hope and pray that 90 people come in that like a drink and they spend £10 each, and then we're in profit, because the break-even point for currently for our shows is around £550, £600.
Bermondsey.
See, that's the thing I'm talking about when it gets down to doing stuff that realistically a musician like myself, and probably most of the people that are watching, would be doing. Let's face it, most of us aren't selling out theaters and arenas. But yeah, for venues like this that do smaller independent touring stuff as well as local stuff, they're getting absolutely crushed by the promotional cost that they would possibly have to go by to come even close to something like Live Nation could provide. It pales in comparison. Most of the time, venues like this advertising is their Facebook page, website, and the signage around the bar, and word of mouth. That's pretty much it. And yeah, venues need to at least recoup that amount of money in order to at least break even and to get some level of profit. It's anybody that gets into this business has to truly love music, because there ain't a lot of money and there's a lot of headaches. A lot. But if you really love it, like any of us knuckleheads do, your love of it outweighs all of the cons. And you just can't help it. You're addicted to it. You're pulled to it like a moth to a flame.
Social Club does work with Live Nation to book some up-and-coming artists, but Live Nation makes a lot of its money from stadium tours. It owns, operates, has a stake in, or exclusively books shows for around 390 venues across more than 50 countries. From amphitheaters to the House of Blues, it also has a controlling stake in festivals like Lollapalooza and Bonnaroo.
When we are advocating as the independent live sector, it's to make sure that we can keep our doors open. Live Nation is lobbying so that they can make sure that their profit margin is large.
Live Nation said it's not lobbying to protect margins, and it supports many reforms that could actually reduce profits. In 2019, fans spent an average of $29 on extras at Live Nation amphitheaters. By 2024, it was more than $40.
Because we are only making money on the bar, youth culture not drinking as much, that has a knock-on effect to the amount that we're taking.
That is a huge issue with venues, local venues, venues like this, and larger venues, and just the nightclub and music scene in general. That is exactly it. That's a number one problem. The older generation used to drink more. Wouldn't necessarily get completely sloppy all the time, but we'd go out usually, drink anywhere from 3 to 6 or so drinks each one of us in the venue. Now, most of the time, people go to the venue, they'll drink soda or bottled water. They're there pretty much just for the entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that. That just makes it really hard for the venue to pay the sound man, keep the lights on, pay the rent. Because, a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people don't know this about not even just live music venues, just businesses in general. Usually the owner owns the business itself, not the building. In most cases, not even just live music venues, those people don't own the building. They still have a mortgage or they're paying rent on that. So they've got bills to pay. They've got to cover not only their overhead, but make some level of profit because everybody needs to eat, right? So yeah, that has absolutely been a huge problem with, and a lot of it has to do with, the younger kids being a lot smarter than us and going, maybe we shouldn't drink 6 to 8 beers and drive home. Maybe that's not a good idea. But hey, there's Uber and all that stuff. There's still a way to do it. But yes, that is absolutely a major issue that venues are facing these days. No doubt about it.
Part of Live Nation's strategy has been to invest in ancillary businesses like Liquid Death, CVT SoftServe, and Everything Legendary.
If you go to the Securities and Exchange Commission website and you look up Live Nation, there's an 11-page document that lists more than 425 subsidiary companies or organizations of Live Nation.
These are just more spokes of the flywheel. It's getting its tentacles into every piece of the live events business. In the case of Liquid Death, this is a company that they not only invested in, but then were able to make the exclusive water provider at many of its venues.
Live Nation is able to increase its profit margins on concerts by also selling things like VIP ticket packages, parking, phone chargers, and more.
You think about when you would go to shows and you get a kind of warm beer and be standing on a sticky floor. There's a long way to go to kind of give an elevated experience for the fans that want it.
Now, the venues are nothing without artists on the stage and promoters to bring in the fans.
Managers are often the most important part of an artist's day-to-day business.
Live Nation has its own management agency called Artist Nation. It's also invested in other agencies like Jay-Z's Rock Nation and even an influencer talent agency. Live Nation's promotion business has grown by acquiring or investing in independent promoters around the world.
The amount of hours it takes to promote it, get the artwork done, changes, speak to the artist, and then all that for a return isn't really there. So you need your Live Nations to be able to do it.
Like the old saying goes, it takes money to make money. And there's so much money wrapped up in Live Nation, especially since they've got their hand in literally everything, that it's just, once you get that big, it's kind of a no-brainer to make more money. You have the investment, the capital to cover almost everything. Just hire some people that have a decent enough business sense, or at least common sense, and stand the hell out of the way. It's just, it's not looking like there's much of a light at the end of the tunnel.
What we have done is really built the best touring team in the industry. You know, none of this would happen without all the folks that grind it out behind the scenes and on tour. That's not an easy lifestyle by any means.
According to Pollstar, Live Nation is by far the largest global concert promoter today, selling $7.5 billion worth of tickets in 2024, which includes its acquisition of Ocesa, a Mexican concert promoter. Live Nation estimates its global ticket revenue is higher, at more than $10 billion.
Because Live Nation has this Ticketmaster unit, which is essentially a cash cow, they are able to offer a lot of money to artists to buy out their entire tour. What they can do is route a tour through buildings that Ticketmaster has exclusive ticketing contracts with.
And that's where Live Nation's ticketing business comes in.
Ticketmaster was the pioneer and is still the dominant player in this thing called exclusive ticketing contracts. This is when they go to venues of all sizes, clubs, theaters, arenas, amphitheaters, and they become the exclusive ticketing provider for that venue. The wink wink nod nod is that if you choose Ticketmaster as your ticketing provider, you are more likely to have Live Nation shows coming through the door.
Live Nation said artists and their team decide where to play based on what's best for their fans and their shows. Ticketing revenue for Live Nation has more than doubled since the merger in 2010. At the same time, the average ticket prices for a North American tour have also nearly doubled.
Doubled? In some cases with certain artists. Certain artists. More than double. You gotta pay close to $1,000 for nosebleed seats, for crying out loud. Tickets have gotten absolutely insane, but that's not necessarily the artist's fault. That's Ticketmaster and Live Nation gouging everybody and everything and just monopolizing everything. Yikes.
Resale is the number one thing that impacts ticket prices, and scalpers are not going to stop coming after that unless there are some real rules and regulations, getting in their way.
Ticketmaster has its own resale platform as well, which competes with companies like StubHub and SeatGeek. Live Nation says it's proud to do resale differently because it gives artists the option to use Ticketmaster's face value exchange to cap resale prices.
We also, as a society, kind of crucify artists for their front row prices when, you could compare that to courtside at a basketball game in the same building, and that sports ticket is 5, if not 10x what the concert ticket is.
StubHub told the Journal it's always been clear that Ticketmaster's priority isn't fans, it's profits.
Yep.
While they tout their face value exchanges, their control of 80% of all ticketing, nearly 1/3 of the resale market, and billions in resale profits tell a different story. And SeatGeek said resale operates best when fans aren't locked into a single platform.
It is not a simple task to track $1 of spending on a concert ticket.
But Anne did just that.
It really shows Live Nation's versatility in creating deals that not only work for the artist, but really benefit Live Nation and squeeze the maximum benefit from any corner of the industry.
This is how Live Nation breaks down the cost of a hypothetical concert ticket.
Now let's take a look at this here. Okay, with $100 face value. That doesn't seem right. Okay, let's say that, okay. Let me get my ugly mug out of the way so you can just see the tail of the tape there. We're going to keep this here for a little bit. All right.
Of course, they own the ticket company, but they might also own the promoter, the venue, and could even manage the artist.
I think it's important to say that every dollar that an artist gets from us or from Live Nation, they absolutely deserve. But there is a really, really important thing to remember, which is if those artists ultimately choose Live Nation all the time and don't choose us, there's not going to be a place for artists to go other than an arena or a Live Nation venue or a corporate venue that's owned by a multinational conglomerate, because we won't be here.
I mean, if someone comes along to me in 5 years' time when I've had enough of it after 15 years and goes, here's a big bag of carrots, do you want it? Then there might be a different scenario, but for now I'm always going to be independent.
The flywheel business model helped fuel Live Nation's rise to become the most powerful company in live entertainment. Now, with the DOJ lawsuit underway, could it become its downfall?
Everything that they claim to have an issue with, there's not really anything in that we're precious about protecting. There's a lot of stuff they claim we do that we don't. But ultimately, we're out there competing every day for venue deals, for artist deals. And so, no, I would say we kind of keep doing what we're doing.
All right, so that was how Live Nation is devouring the live music industry. WSJ, The Economics of, by the Wall Street Journal. Again, if you haven't already, go to the Wall Street Journal, give them a sub. I've included the link for the original video in the description down below. Please go and click on that link and give it a like. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me reacting to next. Thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. It doesn't cost a thing and would really help out the channel. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, GK Mac Music, for some live looping live streams with a side of jackassery, some original music, and some short content, also with a side of jackassery. If you'd like to help out the channel financially, you can buy some merch at the merch store, or you can become a channel member. As always, everyone, thanks so much for your continued support. Do what makes you happy.